The traders who don't need the money are the ones making all of it. The sad truth is, those who don't need it get everything, and those who need it get nothing. The more I needed a trade to work, the more likely it was to fail. But then when I barely cared about the outcome, I somehow kept winning trade after trade. And I didn't get it at first because if I wanted to analyze and execute a trade properly, I needed to put my attention and care into it, right? I can't just not pay attention to the market all the time because that would give me inconsistent results. It's not like I could accidentally build a fortune. That would be silly. So I needed to pay attention, but the more attention I gave it, the worse I performed. And that's when I finally figured it out. I could trade consistently and still got results like I didn't care about the outcome. I found the golden zone. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to find that golden zone and get you on the other side of the equation. Let's begin. There are only two types of traders, and every single trader falls into one of these two categories, whether they know it or not. There are hustler traders and abundant traders. Hustler traders, as the name suggests, are constantly hustling. They're always in the market, or at least always thinking about the market, and always hunting for the next trade. They're working hard to build up their profit and scale their trading up. They put in the hours. They study charts, watch videos, and test strategies constantly. When something stops working, they find something new. They're always learning, always improving, always preparing. And none of it is wrong exactly. It just never seems to be enough. There's a lot of effort put in, but it translates to very little results. This is how I used to trade. Then we have the abundant traders, and abundant traders are the opposite in almost every way. They usually don't trade every day, and they definitely don't spend all their time on their screens. They also aren't that emotionally invested in their trading results. If they take a win for the day, they're barely affected. If they take a loss instead, they're barely affected. When a trade sets up, they execute it, and when it doesn't, they go on with their day. And the thing is, their results are phenomenal. Even though it seems like they don't put much effort or thought into it, the gains they get from trading are enormous. And that used to frustrate me to no end because it felt unfair. It felt like the market was rewarding the wrong people. The ones putting in the least effort and caring the least were the ones winning, and the ones giving it everything they had were losing. But it's not something that happens randomly. There's a very specific reason why the abundant trader gets those results, and once I understood it, everything started to make sense. See, when I was a hustling trader, I didn't really have any idea of how successful traders would operate. I thought they used to trade like me, except with more skill and talent. And I thought that I simply needed to practice more and I'd eventually get to that level. But then I saw a monthly profit chart from successful traders, and that blew my mind. I saw that they only took a couple of trades a month, maybe 10 or 15, and they didn't even trade most days. They had mostly green days and a couple of red. It was much more laid back than I expected. They used to have this massive monthly P&L, but they didn't really do much to get there. I was expecting trades every day and green streaks, or at least something a little more intense. But you couldn't force intensity out of this chart if you tried. It was one trade a day for half the trading days of the month. Even just looking at it changed my perspective. Because the truth is, emotion is the only thing that's really holding us back. Because being a break-even trader is not hard. And being a profitable trader isn't that hard either in theory. It's not too difficult when you look at it mathematically. But in practice, it's difficult because emotions get in the way. That's why we're so much more successful paper trading than we are with real accounts. We don't have any emotion when paper trading, so we follow the plan exactly the way it's meant to be followed. Then it all falls apart when we go with real money. But successful traders don't have much emotion involved in trading, so they excel. Now, when I realized this, the first thought in my head wasn't to suddenly take it slow and detach like they did. My thought was that they're already successful traders because they don't really need every trade to work. They can afford to miss a couple of trades and not catch every single one. They have far less psychological pressure from that, and they're able to trade much more relaxed. I'm not at that point yet, so I'll keep grinding and try to keep growing my account every day until I reach that size. Then once I get there, I'll trade like they do. That was my thought process. I would keep grinding until I reached a certain size, then slow down. And this made sense in my head, until I realized something. If a successful trader had the ability to grind and grow their account every day, why wouldn't they just keep doing that once they've reached a bigger size? If they had a winning formula like this that would produce large returns and grows accounts quickly, They would just keep trading this way and keep compounding, right? That would be the logical thing to do. It wouldn't make sense to have a winning formula, then hit a certain size, and suddenly stop doing that to trade another way for a much lower return. That's when I realized they weren't doing any grinding in the first place. It was an illusion that I created in my own head. There weren't any successful traders that built an account up by grinding every day. The hard truth is that grinding every day is just a hamster wheel for traders. You think you're getting somewhere because you feel movement, but really, you're just stuck in place. And running on your hamster wheel wasn't going to get you out of your hamster cage. And that's when my trading completely changed overnight. I realized that if I wanted to be rich, I needed to trade like I was rich first. Once I'd get the hang of it, I could easily scale and keep scaling up until I hit that size. This was a plan that actually made sense logically. So here's what I did to start trading like I was rich step by step. Now we could have two people trading the exact same strategy, the hustler and the abundant trader, and both will trade it in subtly different ways, but it'll give a massively different result. So let's say they're both trading the LCE model. When trading LCE, your job is relatively simple. You wait for price to enter a level, determine a bias, then target the next level. And by the way, I made a free highly detailed guide on exactly how to trade LCE every day, from start to finish. The link is in the description below. But the LCE model is mechanical. There's not much left to interpret. If price is at a level and it's in an uptrend with strong momentum, then what we do here is go long. No one following LCE would go short here because we don't have the right bias. So this type of level-to-level trading is clearly mechanical. Now, even with a system like this, two traders can get completely different results. One trader might see the price enter a level, confirm their bias, and enter the trade. Then they'll hold it until it hits their profit target and stop trading for the day. While another trader can be looking at the exact same setup and will hesitate to enter at first, then enter late, then move their stop too early, then get stopped out. Then they might enter later, exit prematurely, and take a small loss, then miss out on the trade. Then they'll want to take another level-to-level trade that might not be ideal and end up losing on that one. And the reason this happens is because they have pressure on themselves to achieve a certain result. They're trying to grind their way to profitability, and every missed trade feels like a step back. Every loss feels like you're falling even more behind. But ironically, that same emotional intensity exposes you to everything bad about trading, whether that's revenge trading, overtrading, poor execution, tilting, and everything else. You're exposing yourself to a little more upside and way more downside. The abundant trader isn't exposed to these things because he's not emotionally involved. He only trades when conditions are right, or even only when he feels like it, and his stats are off the charts. Now ideally, a perfect trader would take every winning LCE trade and avoid all the wrong ones, and never make a mistake. This would give him an impossibly high win rate and risk reward, and this is the ideal that the hustler trader strives toward. He tries to get as close as possible to the perfect trader, thinking that even being near that level would produce insane results. But that's just an illusion. You can't be perfect or anywhere near it. Trying to imitate it will not get you any closer. The abundant trader isn't perfect, and he isn't trying to be. But he's the most successful type of person in this market for that reason. That's his source of power in a market that crushes perfectionists. So here's the thing. You don't need to wait until you've made it to start trading like you have. That's actually the whole point. You start trading like you're already there. Fewer trades, cleaner execution, no desperation. And that's what gets you there. The abundant trader wasn't always abundant. At some point, he just decided to stop hustling before the account gave him permission to. And you can make that same decision today. That's when my account finally got out of purgatory and shot up. So be sure to grab the level-to-level blueprint because it has a lot of useful info. And I'll see you in the next video.